Good anytime, my fuzzies, to a quick review of a game I just finished. All opinions in this video are mine and mine alone, so just please enjoy and don't take them too seriously. Thank you. Good anytime, my fuzzies, and welcome to a quick review of Shrek Extra Large. As I always do for these videos, I rate them 1 to 5. 0 being that whatever they're going for is just abysmal. It was hideous, horrible, it did not hit the mark at all. 3 being that it was just whatever it was going for, it hit it, but it didn't really do any better or any worse or anything like that. And 5 being that it knocked it out of the park and really made me go, wow, this is a lot better than I thought it should be or has any right to be. So as always with these, I'm going to start with the story. So as the story goes, Shrek and Fiona are off doing whatever married couples do when Merlin kidnaps Fiona in hologram form and gets Shrek to go to the Ice Queen to get the crystal ball, Merlin's crystal ball from the Ice Queen, so that Merlin can be released from the entrapment and spell that the Ice Queen put on Merlin. So Merlin's trapped, needs his crystal ball to get out, and the Ice Queen has it. So you basically go through levels, helping different characters, complete goals in order to find the Ice Queen, later to find the crystal ball, and lastly to get to Merlin to get Fiona back. All in all, with the story, it's not a bad story, because every area has its own people doing stuff, and sometimes, it all makes sense to a point, and sometimes most of them make sense. Sometimes it just feels like a means to an end. Like in the one Ice Kingdom one, it feels like they just threw stuff together. Because what did you have to do? You had to find a clover for the leprechaun so that he can help you out. Then you have to blow up a mine shaft to get wind up so you can go to the gold at the end of the rainbow. And then the condor there wants you to go and beat up gnomes. So it's very weird. Some of them make more sense. Like the... Sorry, hold on, let me think. One that really... I guess, I don't want to use it, but the one that really goes well together is at the castle with the Crown Prince, because you bring the Crown Prince to his queen, and he admits, I'm sad because the executioner guy is imprisoning everyone. So you imprison him, free everyone, and then you kick them out of the castle. The king is still sad, so you round up his jesters to make him happy, and then he shows you the way to the crystal ball. So there's an example where it does kind of lead into each other. You kind of need their help for some reason. I don't know why you didn't just go directly to the area or whatnot. And others are just like, they just threw things in here. All in all, though, I am going to give it a 3.5 because while the story's kind of meh, it was interesting enough with characters and whatnot that you help out and whatnot. So moving right along, we're going for the characters. The main characters being Shrek and Merlin, who you see the most of. But there are other side characters that you kind of hear about, like Fiona, who doesn't talk really or anything like that. The Ice Queen, who's there for a bit, and other characters in the areas that you talk to, like Hansel and Gretel. There's a Mother Goose, Bo Peep, knights, and whatnot. And the king and whatnot. For me, the one thing about this in any game is, with the main character being Shrek, it often doesn't seem like things Shrek would say in certain things. As a narrator, there's a narrator, and she narrates and does voices and whatnot, but the words she's saying that Shrek says don't really match what I would think Shrek would say. Because I see Shrek as more of a sarcastic well-meaning guy who kind of just gets frustrated a lot. And here, he just seems to be going through the motions of, I'm on an adventure. Someone stole my wife. Okay. He doesn't really talk about how that makes him feel. He's not really angry about her or whatnot. Merlin's fun. Merlin's just a piece of work who wants him to help and is angry and then goes after him because, yeah, he needs his own things. No spoilers in case you haven't seen the series. Seeing the game, it's fine enough. And then other characters just also are kind of there. Like, I think one of the things going into, like, the story and whatnot, and characters doing stuff just for the sake of doing things, is one of the knights in one of the levels like, Shrek's like, you're attacking me. Stop attacking me. Oh, well, we would stop attacking you, but the dragon's attacking us. Why don't you just deal with the dragon, make it go in the water? Why don't you do that and we'll stop attacking you? Really? I mean, at least the connection's there as to why stuff happens, but it's the characteristics just don't make sense. And other ones are just like Hansel and Gretel. They want the food. Ha ha. So I'm giving it I'm actually going to give it my first 2.5 because Shrek was completely butchered in it. They really did not do him justice. And every other character just seems like they're there, furthering a plot along. Merlin was kind of interesting. I enjoyed him a bit. But everyone else was kind of like, oh, this needs to happen. I'm going to be overly aggressive for no reason, even though you didn't do anything. It's just weird. Now, the settings are interesting. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 areas, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, about 10 areas. 10 areas, and they're all pretty unique to each other. You start off in the swamp, which doesn't have much to do, but it's kind of a training ground of sorts. And then you go into the Enchanted Forest, where you see Red Riding Hood. You see the I guess they're supposed to be Robin Hood's merry men. You see Hansel and Gretel. You see a troll. Then you go into Fairy Tale Burg, where you see Mother Goose, I assume, some knights and makeshift horses and whatnot. Yada yada yada. It goes on to outside of a factory, a sweets factory in the land of sweets, to the molasses sewers. You go to the outside of a castle where a dragon's attacking. You're inside of a castle where a king needs your help. So on and so forth. You go to a crypt at one point for some reason. And then you go to the evil castle of Merlin. All in all, with settings, there's quite a lot there. They do seem well orchestrated enough. Some of it, like I think the one area where you're at the Crowned King's summer castle. I can't remember what the name of the level was. But I know that's what it was, his summer castle. The castle itself was kind of weirdly set up where you couldn't actually get to certain areas unless you like jumped up and whatnot. So it's kind of nonsensical in that point. But other parts were like, yeah, in the Enchanted Woods, there's bouncy springs to go up into the trees and whatnot, which is neat. I think the levels are very small, but they are stylized. They're all very different, and they have their own different, unique looks to them. I do feel like if you showed me a picture of one of them, I'd be able to go like, oh, that's this. That's the sewers. That's the castle. That's Evil Merlin's castle. Maybe. Some of the kingdoms got somewhat samey, but they still had their own decor. So, overall, for settings, I'm going to give it a 4. Because it was nice, it was varied, but just some of them just didn't mesh well, and they were kind of like, yeah, you can kind of get around, but it doesn't make sense if you're living in this world to do so over and over again. Anyways. And then we have the game mechanics of the game. So this game, oddly enough, had a lot of movesets. Like, more than a lot of AAA title / like major platformer games do. Because you had your punch, at start you had your punch, you had your kick, you had your burp, you had a fart, you could get a chili pepper, which made you breathe fire when you burped, and also could light your farts on fire, or you could do a rocket jump thing with them. You could grab, and then you could kick them away, push them away, just drop them, so on and so forth. And then after that, you also got a super punch, and then after that, we got a belly flop. So for moveset wise, a lot. Oh, you could also, besides not just jump, but there was also, you could wall jump twice before not being able to wall jump anymore, which gave you a lot of verticality. Which, again, for a game that's just kind of a throw out there licensed game, really nice. Lot to see. Besides that, the main gimmick of the game is in almost every level. Some of them most levels had 6 missions in them, 2 of which were collectathons, one being a fairy that would go from one part of the level to another until you caught it, and they'd be scattered around. The other one being golden eggs that the Easter Bunny laid around that needed to be collected. And then the last 4 were simply just in-level stuff specific to that level. So, like, for instance, like I said, the Crowned King's Castle, you had to get the king to the queen. You had to put a jailer in a jail. You had to throw all the prisoners out the window to free them. And then you had to get all the jesters together and do a fart explosion to make the king laugh. And then some of them were really good like that, where it made sense to the progression. Others were kind of like, yeah, we're just going to throw stuff in here. Like the one you had to get Red Riding Hood's basket. Okay. Well, then you meet Hansel and Gretel needing to go to the gingerbread castle. Okay. And then doing that, you realize, oh, there's an onion here. I can blow up a door. Okay. You blow up the door. Oh, there's the basket. Oh, no, it's empty. I need to get the candy. So while stuff like that, it kind of through lines through the story, it's just like the leap of, oh, I got this onion. I could blow up a door. It's kind of there. Kind of not. It would be better if he saw the door and was like, "Oh, I need some more better stuff to break this open." And then some of them were, what is the term? Some of them were in order, so you go 1 to 4, and like you needed to get 1 done before you can get 2 done, before you can get 3 done, before you can get 4. And there are even some levels where you just walk around, and as you walked, certain things would just come up, and you'd be like, okay. What was a good one? So the one being the king's summer castle is the first job. You need to get rid of the dragon, or make the dragon wild up, I don't know, by setting fires that he'll enjoy. If you go further, you see fish flopping around in a moat that has been drained, so you have to put them in a water thing. After that, you have to get the baby dragons into the water to cool them off. Exploring more, you find a cow that's really dancing and whatnot that you think is annoying the dragon, which a lot of the stuff goes into the dragon must be annoyed, so hopefully if you get rid of all the annoyances and the fire that and make the fire that he likes, he'll come talk to you. And there were a few things like that. Most of the levels were just you do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Others, they did have you can do them in any order, but you need to get the 4 done. When you get the 4 done, the last mission done, whatever one it is, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or 4, as long as all 4 are done in a level, then you go to the next one. And if you didn't collect any fairies and eggs, that's tough. You have to go back and recollect them. But overall, for whatnot, I'm going to give it a 4 because it is very nice. The missions aren't that bad. They are somewhat fun and reasonable. They don't take too long. And overall, the game is just very nice, simple, and quick to get through besides the find it. Because some of the finding things are really, really fun. But either way. And now with that now goes to a special category, because this is based, surprise, surprise, Shrek Extra Large is based off of the movie Shrek. So how does it stack up to the legacy of Shrek? Well, like I've already said before with the character, Shrek doesn't really seem like himself. Like, the movesets are good, burping and farting, yeah, that's Shrek, he does that. But when he talks to characters, it just feels like a blank slate. Like, you could change anyone in here. It could have been Prince Charming going after Fiona. Or it could have been Mario going after... not Mario going after... It could have been Standard Protagonist A going after his girlfriend. Standard Protagonist B. Damsel B. Damsel A. Whatever. So he just felt weird. And, like, you got the fairy tale aspects with which Shrek, surprise, surprise, is in a fairy tale world, mocking fairy tale tropes and whatnot. And this doesn't really mock them, I don't feel. It's more of like, there's Hansel and Gretel. Here's the troll that guards the bridge. You have to get around him somehow. Here's Little Red Riding Hood. She needs her candy so she can go back home. It's just a lot of, here's Bo Peep. She lost her sheep. It kind of feels like, hey, here are the tropes of fairy tale. We'll give you the tropes of fairy tale. Rather than Shrek usually has, like, a dark twist to it. Or, like, more cynical to these fairy tales. To make him either a little, like, darker for what's going on in the story. Like, Shrek 1 has a really dark Easter egg thing if you notice it. Or it's like, yeah, this is what would happen if the fairy tales were real. And here it just feels like, yeah, these are the fairy tales. There's no real thing for them and whatnot. So, for overall, I'm going to give it another 2.5. Because while the story was good, the character just seems meh. The story makes sense, but it's also very basic. And it's just... it's like they painted it Shrek without it. It's like a bootleg Shrek. I would not be surprised if someone was to say, hey, Shrek Extra Large isn't actually a licensed game. It was just made by some random people who took the license. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But overall, through everything for this game, I am going to give it a 3.5. Because the story was interesting enough, and you had the stories in all the other other levels that grew into it, which made it more interesting than not. You had the characters, which seemed just to be the basically there just for you to be like, oh yeah, look, it's Little Bo Peep, haha, look at this, it's not really Shrek, but it's Shrek, and whatnot. The settings were nice and very varied, with different missions to do in them. They looked nice enough, and they were... only a few of them where I kind of went, they just put stuff here for no reason other than just having stuff here, which isn't a bad thing. But when you look at it level, for me, I prefer levels I could be like, if I was in this world, I could work with this. I could go around and play around. I could see myself walking through areas in this area. And this one, most of them I could be like, okay, yeah, this trampolines you up into the trees and you go through there. I can see it. And others are like, you go through this door, you fall down, you walk around some muddy water, then you have to go up a castle escarpment just to get to the top of a tower, because there's no other way. It's not practical. It's not practical in the slightest. But the gimmicks had a lot more variety of move sets and whatnot. With like the burping and the double wall jumps and whatnot, and the farting and the fire and whatnot. It did a lot more than I thought it would, which is nice. I always approve of things like that. And then we had the what was it? And then being a representation of Shrek, it just didn't hit. It feels like a bootleg Shrek product. Where they were like, yeah, Shrek's popular. Shrek's in the fairy tale world, right? Yeah, we'll just put them together and something will happen. Bad guy. Merlin's a bad guy. He is not really, but we'll make him a bad guy here to make him more interesting. And the Ice Queen will be there too, because she's also somewhat a villain. Fun. So either way, 3 3.5 for me in this game. Not the worst game in the world. It's something to play and look at, and you'd probably have fun with it. And even if you don't like the game itself, it's just how much movesets you can do is really impressive to me. Like I said, even a lot of platforming games out there that are like put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, and we're really like, yeah, we're gonna make a great game. Not that they didn't want to make a great game here, but it was clear. I don't know. They put a lot more into the movesets than they needed to do, which is always appreciated by me. But either way, thank you, my fellow guys, for watching this quick review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next anytime. Take care.